Hello everyone and welcome to another historic video. So there is midweek magic historic going on at the moment, and Azorius Affinity happens to be one of the highly requested deck according to last video's comment section. So that's what we're going to be taking a look at today. We're going to be playing some artifacts in the midweek events, and I put some little bit of my spin into the Azorius Affinity deck to kind of spice it up a bit. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at the deck to see what the deck looks like. So this is the deck we're going to be playing today, and you can also try this deck out yourself in the midweek historic event. But I got a lot of things to talk about for this deck, so let's get right into it. So what's going on in this deck? So with the recent historic anthology, we got a card called Retrofitter Foundry. You might have already seen this card already being played in Azorius Affinity. I played the Retrofitter Foundry when it first came out in a ninja deck, and apparently a lot of people had success with it. And as you might have expected, even in Azorius Affinity, it's really powerful. If you've never seen this card, you might be wondering like, why is this good? And that's because we get to play with these 4 copies of Thopters. So not only are these Thopters 0-mana cards that can enable Moonstare Prototype, it can also enable the Affinity 4 artifact for the Thought Monitor, making it cost less. But if you look at Retrofitter Foundry closely, it lets you sacrifice a Thopter to create a 4/4 colorless construct artifact creature token. So if you start with Retrofitter Foundry on turn 1 with a 0-mana card such as the Ornithopter, on turn 1, your opponent has to face a 4/4 staring down at you every single turn. And to make matters worse for our opponent, we're going to be also playing a Barbed Spike and Psy Master Thopterist, so that we can create more Thopters for the Retrofitter Foundry to sacrifice into a 4/4. But you might be thinking, wait a minute, but Barbed Spike isn't anything special, and we're only playing a 1-up? That's kind of weird. And there's actually a reason for that. And the reason why we're playing this is because we're playing 4 copies of Oswald Fiddelbender in the deck. A singular copy of Barbed Spike and a singular copy of Glass Casket in the deck is kind of like a gateway into the 3-mana slot to fetch a Nettlecyst from the deck onto the battlefield. So when you look at a Barbed Spike, not only does it leave an artifact, a 2-mana artifact on the board, it also generates a Thopter, which then can be sacrificed to the Retrofitter Foundry to make a 4/4. And considering that it also generates 2 artifacts on a single card, it does help with Thought Monitor, giving it affinity for artifacts. And we're also going to be playing 2 copies of Emery, and that's because when you sacrifice artifacts to the Oswald Fiddlebender, it goes to the graveyard, and then Emery can fetch it back onto the battlefield again. So that's why we have a bunch of 1-ups in the deck, and that's because of Oswald Fiddlebender. So with that said, it wasn't exactly easy to fit all these cards into the single deck. We are playing a 20-land deck, so we're already pushing it, and there's some key cards that could have also made it into the deck, but in the end, it just couldn't fit inside. So I'm gonna move over all the cards to the right side of the land to show you guys what the core cards are in the deck, so you can kind of understand why there's a lack of 4th copy of Thought Monitor, or even like 3rd and 4th copy of Emery, or even more copies of Nettlecyst. So let's move them over. So these are all the core cards in the deck. So from left to right, if we're gonna be playing Retrofitter Foundry, we have to play Ornithopter. And because I want this deck to be a Fiddelbender deck, we need 4 copies of Oswald Fiddelbender. And because of that, at least 2 copies of Emery is kind of given. Then we also want some copies of Psy as well to synergize with the Retrofitter Foundry. And making a 1/1 Thopter means that not only can you sacrifice to the Foundry, you can also sacrifice to the Fiddelbender for a 1-mana card. And in our case, we can fetch portable holes from deck onto the battlefield, which we have 4 of. Then we also need a copy of Barbed Spike at the very least, so that we can have a gateway into the Nettlecyst using the Oswald Fiddlebender. And we also need some copies of Thought Monitor, because Thought Monitor is just a really good card on the artifact deck. And lastly, 4 copies of Metallic Rebuke is kind of a no-brainer for an artifact deck, which then leaves only 11 cards to spare, which can be seen on the left side. And I've decided that you can't have just no copies of Esper Sentinel, so that's why we have 3 of. And you can't have no copies of Moonstone Prototype either, because we play so many 0-mana cards. Then because we are a Fiddlebender deck that can fetch any artifacts onto the battlefield, so we have a singular copy of Shadow Spear, Soul Guide Lantern, Tormod's Crypt, and a Glass Casket. And the last card that I added into the deck is a copy of Mox Ember, because we do run 8 copies of Legendary. So in our case, I just found no other way of putting a 4th copy of Thought Monitor, even though it's a great card, because then I would have to sacrifice something like Sai Master Thopters, which I really do want to play in this deck. So we did have to make some sacrifices there. But anyways, that's gonna be it for the intro of this video. And I'm going to be jumping into some games in Historic Event to show you guys how the deck works. And if you want to see some other decks in this channel, write in the comments below and I might check it out. But on a closing note, if you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe if you still haven't. And let's hop on over. This is actually keepable, because if you play Mox Ember, then you turn on the Spire of Industry, then you can play the Esper Sentinel on turn 1. Actual playable hand. Pretty sweet. Harvester. Okay. We need a land. Passing turn 2 was unfortunate, but we're gonna be able to Metallic Rebuke whatever they play here. I'm just hoping we get a land. Nice. And we get to counter that. And we draw a Tormod's Crypt, which is nice, because now we get a Thopter. Additional discount for Thought Monitor. So now it's 2 mana. It's a Oni Cult Anvil deck. Packs, by the way. So we don't care about Oni Cult Anvil, because we got a bunch of flyers coming in with Nettlecyst. Feeling pretty good. Yeah, I'm very, very surprised opponent actually didn't kill my side there. So I am actually going to get rid of their Oni Cult Anvil. I'll draw a card. 2 cards actually. Another portable hole. Let's see what we draw first. I'm looking for this card at the moment. Where is it? Either I'm looking for a Retrofitter Foundry or Oswald, so that I can sacrifice all the Thopters into a 4/4. I'm actually just going to get rid of the Rehabilitate Harvester so our side doesn't die. And next turn we should be able to win. I don't know how many artifacts we have, but this Nettlecyst is going to be fat. Now they're killing Sai. Like, that Sai is just going off too hard. But that should be game. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's definitely game. Goodbye. Oh, man, I love this hand. Say hello to my 5/5s. I'm gonna keep the Tormod's Crypt in case we draw a Oh, opponent doesn't know. Opponent does not know. Okay, excuse me, a 4/4. My bad. Ladies and gentlemen, we got our second Retrofitter Foundry. Honestly, they might be dead before... We actually don't even need to do that. Yeah, let's just make another 4/4. And to make the matters worse, let's get rid of that Bard class. Just... feel bad. Feel bad. Perfect. It's gonna deal a lot of damage, but because we got Ornithopter, we can play Esper Sentinel with Spires of Industry. Pretty nice. And we get to play Emery. Let's take less damage. Looking for the Retrofitter. Looks like opponent surrendered. Okay. That was a quick 3-0. Quick 3-0. Like, that was 8 minutes. 8 minutes and we have 3-0. Let's keep playing. Okay, pretty nice hand, especially against a Loras deck. If this is an Aura deck, Esper Sentinel is a fantastic card for against them. Green. Oh, opponent's playing the old food deck. Yeah, that's a terrible mill. That is a terrible mill. Cauldron Familiar. So this card has been nerfed so that it can't actually block. It's a really bad card now. So I am going to get rid of Goose, I believe. Because the cat can't really block, and Goose is pretty annoying. Like, it's like a value generator for the food decks. Deadly Dispute. Sure. And we pass. Because now we want to leave a Metallic Rebuke, and this has Improvise. You can tap the artifact to counter. So we have exactly 3 mana. The Meat Hook Massacre. We'll draw a card because opponent doesn't want to pay since they don't have mana. And we will counter. Opponent scoops. Okay, I want to play a single game with the Fiddelbender. Can we do that? Can we get a game with the Fiddlebender? We got ourselves a Fiddlebender game. Fantastic. Start with the Moonstare. Oh my god. Wait, hold up. This is broken. So we play Oswald. It looks like opponent has an opt. And we play the Retrofitter. And we play the Thopter. We just played like 3 cards in a single turn. 4 cards including land. Literally, this just dumped our entire hand. Ledger Shredder. Okay. You can have a Ledger Shredder, sure. I'll have a 4/4. And this is pretty cool. We'll create a token. Since the token is a 0 mana card, we sacrifice it. Grab a portable hole. Pretty cool. And we can do that 3 more times because we have 4 copies of portable hole. Okay, looks like goodbye Oswald. But that's okay, Oswald did his job. Play the Esper Sentinel so that we get discount for Thought Monitor. Draw 2 cards. Yep. This deck is pretty sweet, right? This deck is pretty sweet.